Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this episode of How I Make Money, the show where we talk about how to make money, invest money, and give away to charity. Today's guest is my friend Alex, who is now a WBFF Pro bodybuilder. And today we're going to learn about his story from transitioning from nightlife, from being in Vegas, being in nightlife, to transitioning into a mindset where he wanted to improve himself, get out of some of the cons of nightlife, and become a pro bodybuilder. And he competes in 2 weeks, guys, so make sure you tune in for that. So Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. How you doing?
Good, bro.
Good.
So typically on this show, we talk a lot about money, right? And what I realized, what I got a lot from my listeners, is that they understand what people are doing. We talk about top line revenue, this, that, but they just don't have the mindset.
Correct.
They don't know how to transition out of like a place where they're not happy to a place where they can like progressively think and improve themselves.
Correct.
And I always say, like, before you ask me about where to invest money or how to make money, you got to invest in yourself.
Correct.
So you can actually increase your potential to do something big. And I know your story really aligns with that, where you were doing really interesting stuff that I thought was pretty cool, and then you decided that, hey, I want something way more than this.
Yeah.
I want something much bigger for myself. And now you're a WBFF Pro bodybuilder.
Yeah, it's crazy. That sounds crazy to me. Yeah.
It is pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
So Alex, who are you? Tell us who you are.
I'm Alex Padron. I'm 28 years old. I'm originally from Cuba, so I immigrated over here long time ago. Not fresh off the boat anymore. And now I'm with WBFF Pro, going for the world title in 2 weeks.
Damn.
It's crazy to just say that, but it's good. Feels good.
Yeah. And tell me where you were 3 years ago.
3 years ago, I was overweight. I think my body fat was like 18% or above. I was an alcoholic. I was abusing drugs as well. And now I'm not. I'm like, I still drink here and there, very controlled, very minimal. But a lot better mentally and a lot better physically. Wow.
So walk us through, like, you're 28. So you've been working for 10 years or so, right? Like
a little bit longer, I think 15.
Yeah. What was your first job like, and how did you move into running nightlife in this town?
Yeah, so my first job, I started working on the Las Vegas Strip as a lifeguard at Mandalay Bay. From there, I was there for like 5 years. Went to Red Rock, worked over there. Left Vegas for a year, came back, and then I opened up the Park MGM, Nomad, and then from there, transitioned into Encore Beach Club and Access Nightlife, which was an amazing time. Can't complain about the time that I had there.
Yeah.
The people were amazing. The people that you meet, the experience is always amazing. So and from there, was there for 2 years, and then quarantine happened. Yeah. Wasn't working. Invested a lot of time into drinking and partying, because that's all we used to do anyway. Yeah. And it got really bad. And from there, at the end of it, I really got, like, you can go into detail in it, but it got really bad. And then I realized I had to change my mindset and the way I had to be. Yeah. Didn't drink for a year and a half. Wow. And started working at a gym, get back in shape, and then now we're here.
That's pretty cool. And you're competing in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
That's impressive, man.
Yeah.
So you were a VIP host
Correct.
in nightlife, right? And for most people, like, we're in Vegas now, right? Yeah. You've been here for a long time. I'm still new, but now I know a bunch of VIP hosts. It's like, oh yeah, he's a VIP host. Yeah. But most people outside of Vegas don't know what a VIP host is.
Yeah, no. They think it's like anybody else that just handles people and just bring them into the club. Yeah. Which is not that.
How would you describe your job? Like, what's the job of VIP host?
Pretty much creating an experience, like you meet people, you build relationships with people, and over time, they trust you enough to come back. And it's like, obviously they're buying tables that are worth, like, from the low end $2,000 to $50,000 tables, And as a VIP host, you're given that VIP experience. So being able to provide them a location that gives them whatever DJ may be playing, whether it's Diplo, Marshmallow, etc., to give them that, like, wow factor. Like, this is Vegas. This is why I come to Vegas. Yeah. And it's not just working at your venue, but with venues around town, restaurants, etc.
So how did you, when you were in nightlife, like, how would you find your clients?
We will go out a lot, like every day.
Oh, wow.
20. I think we had one day off. And even on that day off, we were still out. Like, it was just like, they'd be like, hey, you guys got to go out and meet people. I'm like, okay, so we'll go to like, whether it's a strip club or another nightlife venue, or walk around the strip, the malls, the hotels, and just kind of tell them, hey, this is what I do. Meet concierge, meet the back of the house people. Yeah. That way they know who you are and you can build that relationship. And then if they have guests that ask for a VIP host, they can be like, hey, like, I know Alex, he works here. He can set you up. And then that's like kind of the transition that kind of happen.
So it was part of your job to go to different casinos and know the staff there.
Correct. Like you get assigned like a hotel.
Yeah.
And in that hotel, you got to know everybody there. Like your duty is to like know everybody there. So that way, if they do call, like, okay, this is the person we call to get everything handled.
Yeah.
And from there, you get these guests that are coming from the UK or Australia or South America, like from all over the world. And yeah, from there, you got to give them the experience. Like, oh, welcome to Vegas. Like, let's get you set up here to say day and night, post show, after, like, it's like constant. So okay, tell me. So clearly, like, networking was critical for you, right? Definitely.
Like you're getting paid to network, and the better you network, the more money you make.
Correct.
The more
you can easily as a host start on the low end, make 80,000 if you suck, and then not saying that you suck, 80,000 like starting usually, and then from there you can make 6 figures and above.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, and it's not hard as long as you have the drive for it. You know, like you just got to go out there and talk to people, which is like if you know how to talk to people, it's easy.
So what about someone who's like shy or reserved, and they come to Vegas? They're like, well, how do I do this?
You know what's crazy? Like people that are shy actually tend to do better because like they don't know how to approach people, so they're like they have that awkward like, hey man, like, do you want to get this table like. And it works out for them versus the guy that's like, hey, what's up, man? Look, this is what we're going to do. This is the table. It's going to cost this much. You want it or not? Yeah. And it's like, I don't want to talk to this guy. This guy's weird, you know? Like, the nice guy usually tends to win this out. And then over time, like, you build the relationship, and then you can be like, hey, man, look, this is what it is. So, but it works out.
That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Yeah. So, you should go like 6-7 times a week.
Yeah, like so we would have like office time where we spend time in the office emailing people and everything, reaching out to our guests, our clients. Yeah. And then from there, we worked doubles. So it was like day club, nightclub. And then the days that you weren't working, we were stepping out. And it was just to meet people. If you're going to a strip club, you're out to 8 a.m. Like it was like a no sleep party all the time.
Yeah. So like what was your schedule like? Like you should go to bed at what time?
I would get home like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And then if we had to be back the next day, it was like 9 a.m. So like you're sleeping like less than 6 hours.
So it's a hustle. Like it's not just party. It's like it's a hustle.
And then like people get mad like because we have an attitude. Like sometimes we like if we're not sleeping and partying, like being out all the time. Like it's like, you know, how do you like start talking to people nicely? You know, it's like a little thing. You're just like, dude, like stop. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And we're all adults, right? But like people forget that when we come to Vegas. We're like, no, this is Vegas. We can do whatever we want. It's like, no, like there's still rules here, man. Like, don't touch the rope. That's all it is. The amount of people that hop a rope is like, dude, like it's a boundary, right? Yeah. Like, do you hit a traffic cone when you're driving? Like come on now.
Right, over here in Vegas these days, I kind of do.
That's true. That's our state flower, you know? Like
that's the state flower. There you go. So that's pretty cool. So tell me something like, so most people, because, you know, ever since I moved to Vegas, I've been going out a lot, right? Yeah. So I've seen some very insane stuff, right? What is like crazy stuff that you've seen in nightlife?
Man,
not something that will get us canceled.
Okay. There's, you know how people will go as like with your wife or whatever to go out to the club? This lady went to the club with her husband. Yeah. Got caught in the bathroom with another dude. She's getting kicked out. She's crying because she was doing what she was doing with the dude. And then the husband's coming out. He's like, why is she getting kicked out? And we're like, well, she was doing what she was doing with that dude. He's like, what? So it's like a whole scenario of like her cheating, getting kicked out of the club with a different dude, and her husband's there. It's like, usually that would happen, like somebody's back home. Uh-huh. But it's all happening in one, like...
That's insane.
One event.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, there's a dude that jumped like a fence and like broke his ankle trying to escape, but it was like pointless. Yeah. We've seen everything. I feel like there's nothing we haven't seen in Vegas. Like, you see it all.
Yeah. What about, like, there's a lot of going out that much, a lot of drinking.
Correct.
Right? And I know you talked about your struggle with alcoholism.
Mm-hmm. So, working in nightlife, like, not necessarily like you have to drink. There's people that are sober that work.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when you have clients that are spending $50,000, $100,000 in one single night, you know, like, and they're like, "Hey, take a shot with us." Like, you don't just say no. Like, you can.
Yeah.
But then you're like, "Okay, I'll take a shot with you guys," and that one shot turns into like 3 shots, 4 shots, 6 shots. Now you're with them at 7 a.m, and then from 7 a.m, you got to go back to work, and then you're like, it's like just a constant thing, and it's like repeats and repeats, and then from there you're just like, this is what you do. It's just like the task is constantly rolling, you know?
Yeah. So how did that change? Like, did you feel like personality change over time, or how did you notice that you were getting sucked into the cycle of just drinking and drinking all the time?
I think it went from like, I'm always a happy person, I'm always smiling.
Yeah.
Even when I'm like, I was deep into it, like I still try to smile and be happy all the time. But I could tell like with friends that I had known for like 10 plus years, like my interaction with them was different. Like since I was in nightlife and they weren't, like, not saying that this happens to everybody, but it tends to happen. It's like you go into nightlife and then all of a sudden you're here, you think you're here. Like, no, I'm a host, I'm a cocktail waitress. It's like, so what? Like, it's just, that's your job. Like, you have to do that. Doesn't mean you treat people any different. You're not any better than anybody else. And that's what people tend to hold themselves, you know? And they're like, oh, you don't work in nightlife? Who are you by? Like, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And I started treating my friends that I'd known for years like that. And it wasn't cool. And then, you know, those relationships kind of sucked, kind of separated for a little bit. And then come quarantine, we weren't working, and we all just started partying. We just, like everybody, I feel like everybody started drinking and doing whatever. Yeah. And I took it to the extreme. I was just like drinking every day. Like I would wake up every day, and especially with my guys in Florida. I have friends in Florida. They're out there and they love to party.
Yeah. Miami boys.
Yeah, they're all in Tampa actually.
Yeah, Tampa boys.
And we would wake up, like they'll be up already. So it was like 8 a.m. over there, or 10. And then over here it would be like 6. And I'm like, hey, take a shot. See a shot, take a shot. And I'm like, okay, take a shot. So every day in quarantine, I was waking up, taking shots.
Wait, so you guys are taking shots over Zoom?
Yeah, over Zoom, or like, they'll tag me on Instagram, they'll do a story, like, whoever sees this, you gotta take a shot. And then I'll watch them like, oh, fuck. Like, you gotta take a shot now. And so that started like in March. That's when kind of quarantine started. And then I was having relationship issues. And me and her ended up splitting. But I took it very harshly, and then as well on her behalf, like we were both just toxic to each other, and that led to even drinking even more. I'm like, oh man, like I added a lot of hate. I was like, man, what's going on? And just drank, hurt the people that were around me. She hurt the people that were around her. Like it was like a constant back and forth battle, and I was trying to just overdo it, right? Like if she did this, I did 10 times more, and it was drinking. I would wake up. So the craziest night I realized was, I woke up at 5 a.m., chugged a bottle of wine, rode my bike around my neighborhood, went home, started drinking my Casamigos bottle. By noon, I already finished a bottle of wine and 2 Casamigos bottle. By 4 p.m., I was taking shots somewhere. Like I was probably like at a friend's house taking shots. And then I would stop drinking around 1 a.m., 1 or 2 a.m., and then I would go to bed, and I'll wake up again at 5 a.m. Like, that's what I did every day in quarantine. Like, it was a lot of drinking. And they're like, Alex, how are you doing that? I'm like, I don't know, just... And then on top of that, the drugs were involved in the whole process, right? So, yeah, that was really crazy. Like, I think it hit... The main time it hit where things got bad, it was like a 4th of July. Yeah. Like, I just overtook it, and I just chugged the whole bottle of Patron. I was just like... Blacked out, don't remember anything. Drove home, I guess. And I guess people tried to stop me. I didn't listen. Got home, next day, woke up, phone blown up. I was like, damn, like, what even happened? And from there, I would drink, but I would get sick. I would start getting sick around like 10 p.m. And I would feel like I'll get like a heat wave. Like I'll be laying in bed, and I'm like, what's going on? And I would have to hop in the shower and then throw up. Yeah. And then I can go to bed. And that would happen every day. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, why can't I drink as much as I was doing? Why am I waking up and having to feel this way? And so I stopped drinking for like 2 weeks at the end of July. And then in August, I went out to dinner. And I had had a steak I was eating, and then they're like, hey, try this drink. I'm like, okay. I barely, you know how you like a sample a drink?
Yeah.
I did that. Instantly, I was like, I gotta go. And started throwing up nauseous. Like I got like alcohol poisoning. Like it was crazy. Like,
oh, wow.
I was at home and I was like, what's going on? Like just constant, just vomit just coming out. Like I was in the shower, like drenching myself. I was trying to cool down. I'm like, what's going on? I didn't know. From there, I didn't drink. I quit drinking for a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
So I honestly, no, I had one more sip.
Yeah.
At the end of August, like September, around there. And then I didn't drink.
So that was that day, that steak dinner that you had. That was your turning point.
Yeah, there was like, because it was like the reason why I kind of stopped drinking was the way I acted on 4th of July. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, let me just drink normal, like not drink, over drink. And I was just getting sick. Like it was just like constant, just nausea. Like, oh, like I can't do it. And then that's when when I stopped for 2 weeks and I tried to have another drink, that's when it was like, my body just shut down. It was just like, nope, couldn't finish my steak. I had to leave dinner. I had to go home, shower. I was just like done. Like I was just flushed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so you stopped drinking
for a year and a half.
So that day is when you decided, like, hey, was it like I'm going to stop drinking or I'm going to start working out? Like what? It was just the drinking that time.
At that time, that was September of 2020, and I had a litter of puppies. So I was like, okay, let me just take care of the pups. Like that's all I got to do. And yeah, just like not drinking part was just like, it was kind of easy at that point. I was just busy doing other things. Yeah. And I kind of got back in shape. Like I was just like going to the gym, but not really like a normal person. I'll go to the gym. Yeah. And New Year's came along, didn't drink. January, the Dragon's Den gym started opening up. So that's when I applied. I was like, I'm not doing anything. Let me just apply there. Yeah. Which is owned by Flex Lewis and his wife. And they hired me on, and it was crazy. So it was like, for me, if I looked like the outcast, right? Like everybody else was in shape or they went to the gym, and now I'm just the guy that's just like, oh, he got hired on. Like he kind of looks like he works out, but like he doesn't, you know? Yeah. And I'm also all tatted up too, so like, who is this guy? But they didn't look at me that way. It was like a very friendly thing. And in March of that year, so 2021, everybody was in prep. They were doing like getting ready for a show. And I'm like, I can do a show. Like I haven't done a show in 7 years, but I can prep. That's not hard, you know? Yeah. And they're like, oh, you can't do it, Alex. You can't do it. I'm like, watch me, you know? So then the GM there, which is Justin, I hired him on as my coach. And from April 4th, we started our prep of 2021. Did a 16-week prep. Did my first show in over 7 years. Oh, wow. On July 9th or 10th of 2021. So 16 weeks. And then went from 195 pounds, 18% body fat to 189. And I was like 4 or something percent body fat. Wow. Like I was like really low.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And then from there, did like an off season. Yeah. For like a whole year. Was going to do a show 2022 in November, but I ended up getting sick. Yeah. I was prepping for the show and I looked great and everything. And then I got overexhausted. I had my dogs got into a fight. Yeah. And I overexhausted myself. So I ended up in the hospital and I just couldn't breathe. I was just so dehydrated and couldn't do the show. And it was like very depressing. I was like, man, like I'm ready. Like the show is like 4 days away, you know, like no, like my coach, I was like, man, can I do the show? And he's like, well, I actually called him. I was in the hospital. And the next day, like, I'm like, man, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm gonna go to the gym, you know, like, let me catch my coach, see what we gotta do. Yeah. Cause I'm doing this show. And I call him and say, I'm literally at the store. I call him. I'm on the phone. I'm like, hey, what am I eating today? You know, we got the show in 4 days. And he's just like, Alex, you're in the hospital. You weren't healthy. Like, we have to pull you from the show.
Wait, so you're in the hospital and in your mind, you were still determined
yeah, like
I was,
yeah, because I put it this way, like I was prepping for that show for 36 weeks. Oh, like wow. It was a slow process, but like I started like around like May, June kind of, and then really started pushing it around August because the show was in November. And yeah, for like prepping for 36 weeks for somebody to be like, hey, like, you can't do the show because you were sick. Like,
yeah.
Mentally, I was like, what do you mean? Like, we just did this for 36 weeks. I don't care. Like, I just sacrificed a lot of things to get here, you know? Like, now we got to stop. Like, he's like, yeah, man, like, your health is more important. There's more shows, you know? And I was like,
it's a good coach.
Yeah. A coach that cares about you like that, like, that's important, you know? Everybody's like, oh, just get whatever coach. And if he pushes you, he pushes you. It's like, no, like, I'm very thankful for that because, you know, so that did happen, right? I did get sick. So let's say we did do the show. What could have happened on stage or off the stage or in the whole process? Like, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
So didn't do the show. Avoided watching the show. And I ended up seeing pictures. And I'm like, oh, like, I could have won. Like, I could do great. Da, da, da. And then after I was like, you know, luckily I had a good friend support group, you know, like they were like, Alex, like, there's more shows, like, you got this, like, don't worry about it. And mentally, like, I was just like so drained too, like, because at that point in time, there's also other things that were going on. Yeah. And that show was just the only thing that was like keeping me focused on things. And when I was told no, like, after that, I was just like, well, what am I doing, you know, like, and had to set a different path for the next year. So, and what I mean by that is like, there was a lot of things that went on in 2022 that, like, I have no problem expressing. We can talk about that too.
Yeah, so I have so many questions. There's so much to unpack.
There's so much going on. I'll keep talking if you don't stop me.
There's so much to unpack there because fundamentally to me, like, if someone is like this bad cycle of, like, you know, you're drinking, you're in a bad state, it's typically a downward spiral, right?
Correct.
And, you know, I've never had issues with alcohol, but I've been in a downward mental spiral at some points in my life, right? And hopefully those days are not gone forever. Yeah. But I have friends right now who are in that spiral, and they'll call me, and, you know, me being a good friend, we talk, and I try to help them through it. And it's really hard to discipline yourself to take the right action. Correct. But apparently it's not hard for you because you prepped for 36 weeks. How is that possible, Alex? Because the discipline, someone who's like in this dark cycle where you're almost dying, like from alcohol poisoning, and then you're like disciplined for 36 weeks to execute on the show. Yeah. All the way down to 4% body fat. That's pretty insane. So how did you do that?
It's like, for me, it's like when I want something, like, I'll make it happen. Like, it's like, even if I'm in the worst position possible, and it's like, you know what, like, I'll put it this way. Those 36 weeks, me and my ex had gotten back together at the end of 2020. And we ended up splitting again. This time, our own differences that led to it. There's just a lot of drama, etc. But when we broke up, we still we weren't healthy when we were breaking up. We had trauma that we had dealt with in the past that we never healed from. So that affected our breakup. And within those 36 weeks, I was talking to somebody new. And she didn't like that. I did my own thing. And come June, July, that's when I was like feeling feelings for this person. And she's like, oh, you're feeling feelings? I was like, yeah. I was like, well, keep in mind, I was with this girl for like, with my ex for like 8-9 years. So it was a lot, like, on and off, but like 8-9 years. And great chick. There's nothing bad I can say about her. But when we went into this breakup, and then what happened forward is like, you know, we've been together for so long, like, this is what's happening. It's like, why? You know, there's no healing that we ever done. Like, everything that has happened in our time together, like, we never healed. And that's tends to be the problem with people in their own relationships and relationships in life, right? Like, why are things constantly repeating itself, the same cycle? Because you're not taking the time to heal from it in order to progress, right? So, like, maybe you guys, oh, let's get back together, or hey, like, I fixed it, but you're telling yourself you fixed it, but you're not really fixing it. You're just telling it so you can just get past it. So yeah, I'm healed. And then you go on, and then you do it again.
So you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, you're just constant. It's a constant lie to yourself. And that's what I always did. Because going back, like, after I learned about it, there's a lot of trauma that I dealt with when I was a kid, when my parents got divorced and stuff, that carried on to my relationships over the years. And it reflected, and I never healed. And so that's what was the ending of our breakup. And then for this 36 weeks, that was my focus. I was like, okay, like, let me just focus on this show, because that way I don't have to deal with what's going on here. Like, if I'm focused on this doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like, the breakup doesn't exist. The financial crisis doesn't exist. Nothing bad exists. It's just this show. And that's when things start falling apart, right? So for me, I'm good at zoning out and just focusing on one thing, which is bad. But after that show, so the girl I was talking to, she helped me like go into therapy and kind of learn about myself, heal in ways I haven't healed before. Like, one thing, I totally support therapy. Like, if you've never done it, do it. Like, I hated it as a kid. I did it when I was really young, and I was like, no, this thing doesn't work. Like, therapy, that's for losers, you know? And as an adult, you need it. Yeah. So, yeah, did therapy, and the reason being because in August, I did lose a friend to suicide.
Oh, wow.
And mentally, with what I was dealing, that wasn't great. It's someone I knew for over 15 years. And then at the same time, with the issues I was having with my ex, you know, when you're with someone for so long, they know how to push your buttons easily. Like, the little things like, and you're like, fuck, you know? But I wasn't feeling great. Yeah. And everything triggered. Like, I'll be good. I'll be good at work. Yeah. But then at home, I was like, this sucks. Yeah. And at that point, you know, I lost myself. And I was suicidal as well. Oh, wow. And, you know, I thought about it in my own past due to the fact that, like, my parents got divorced and stuff that I had to deal with. But this was the first time where I would say I was truly, like, there. Ended up grabbing my gun and I don't have no problem being open with this, but yeah, I grabbed my gun, clicked it back, and I had it ready. And that was in front of my ex. And I don't know what stopped it. Yeah. But I put it down, and then that was the end for us. She, you know, rightfully was okay. Like, she packed her stuff and left, and then I dealt with my own stuff. And who I was talking to helped me with therapy, meet with somebody, talk to them. Yeah. The show was another thing that I was focusing on. It's like, you know, I got to deal with the show. And in that whole process, I'm like learning, right? Like, why was I doing this to myself? Why was I thinking this way? Why was I doing what I was doing in my relationship? Yeah. Why? It was like a constant why versus blaming somebody else. Because we tend to blame people, you know, we don't blame ourselves because we're always right. We're never wrong. Yeah. And I didn't want to do that. I was like, why am I going to blame myself? You know, like, the drinking problem, that was my drinking problem. The drug problem, that was my drug problem. My relationship, we were good, but the problems we had, my problems, she had her problems. Yeah. But it was never fixed. And I had to fix that. I like really looking deep into myself, and I was like, okay. I talked to this dude. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. And he's like, can you just have an open mind? And I'm like, all right, man. And
so this is the therapist.
Yeah. And I sat there and we talked for hours. Like, we had multiple sessions. And the first session, I always remember this. He just wanted to know about me. I was like, who are you? I was like, I'm Alejandro Padron. I'm this. And he's like, okay. Do you do this? I'm like, yeah. You said your parents got divorced at what age, 16? I'm like, when I was 18? He's like, yeah, okay. And then what's this? And it's like this. And he just pointed out certain things in my life. I'm like, you know, when people start knowing things, you're like, yeah, where are you reading this? Who you got this from, you know? Yeah. And I didn't tell the girl anything. I was just like, it was just me and him. Like,
it was just, the therapist was reading that.
Yeah. And he goes, well, you know, you growing up with your parents divorced. When I was younger, I used to just go to the gym. I got bullied. I had glasses, braces, everything. You know, the regular weird-looking kid. Yeah. And the gym was my escape. I was never to escape to my parents. It was just like, I need to go to the gym so I can escape. Like, if I was at the gym, even if I wasn't working out, I was mentally good. So that was these 36 weeks, I was mentally good. Yeah. Because everything closed off, my problems, and I was focused.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, he's like, you know, like, that was your piece. That's like a diabetic needed insulin. I needed the gym. Like, if I didn't have the gym, then I was like, what's going on? I'm like overthinking. I'm processing things that don't need to be processed. Yeah. And He's like, that was your safe space. You know, the gym is your safe space. Now, you had trauma from your parents because your parents did this. So then this reflected on how you reacted to people. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, so then how can we fix this? And he's like, start writing it down. I'm like, man, like this whole writing down things. I hate writing things down. I was like, okay, whatever. So I started writing things down. I was like, every day. I kind of stopped a little bit. I should have started it again, but from September of 2022 until till January, I wrote in a journal every day. Today I'm feeling like this. This is what's going in my head. Why am I feeling like this?
So just for context of time, I'm sorry to interrupt, Alex, but when was the steak dinner from this time? Like 4 months?
The steak dinner was 2020, August.
Yeah.
The prep for my first show after 7 years was April to July of 2021.
Yeah.
And then this is now 2022.
So essentially, when that whole alcohol poisoning happened, the gym at that time was your escape, right? Like you hadn't really healed.
Correct. I haven't really. Yeah. So it was alcohol in 2020. 2021, I started working at the gym and training there.
Yeah.
And prepped for a show, and I still haven't really healed from everything.
Yeah.
Like I still have my own traumas and stuff that me and my ex dealt with. And 2022, like all that, I was so like put down, but it was still there.
Yeah.
And then it technically exploded.
Yeah.
August of 2022.
So that's when you started journaling and going with a therapist and dealing.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I started journaling everything. I started working alongside with Flex and his wife as well. So like they're very hardworking people, like what they do for their businesses and their relationship building, everything that I've learned now that I know is thanks to them because they're just amazing.
Yeah.
And the people, you are who you surround yourself with, right? Mm-hmm. Like I was surrounding myself with the nightlife guys. So like we did nightlife things, you party, drink, whatever. And then, or you're associated with yourself with the gym guys. You go to the gym, or you're associated with the guys that do both. You're party and gym. So now you look good to go to the party. Yeah. Like, it's like, where's the balance, right? Yeah. And at first I had that issue. It's like, I still had the alcohol side of me where I was like, I want to drink and party. And then I was like, nah, I'm looking good. I can go out and do stuff, right? It's like, where's the balance in that? And once I started journaling and healing from what I was dealing with, like, it took to like the end of December. Mm-hmm. The beginning of December, actually. The girl that was helping me, she was feeling some type of way. And, it's hard for a guy to admit anything. Like, for a guy to be like, hey, you know what? I'm the problem.
Yeah.
We won't do that.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, look, like, thank you, but you have brought up things that aren't okay with me. And I'm going into old habits. I don't wish to go into those habits. Let's go our own path.
Wow.
And
you set like a firm boundary there.
Yeah. I set a boundary and I was like, I really got to fix myself. And from there, I just focused on work.
Yeah.
And I became a little workaholic. So like I started working one job, I was working two, and I started working three. Like I just started getting busy.
Yeah.
And I also couldn't train because I was sick, right? So I couldn't get cleared till February.
Yeah.
So then physically, mentally I was healing. Uh-huh. Physically, I started getting drained. I was like, because I'm working so much. And then on top of that, like, I'm not working out to the extent I want to work out to, right? Like get ready for a show, et cetera. Yeah. So the whole time I'm seeing everybody prep for a show, do a show. And I'm like, man, like I'm surrounded by this.
Yeah.
I want to train. Like I want to do what I want to do. And it's like, I got to get cleared. And it sucked because it's like, this is what I love to do. I enjoy working out. And once I got cleared in February of this year, I prepped for a show for WBFF LA. Mm-hmm. That was on May 27th. Did the show there and got my pro card.
Wow.
And then almost 10 weeks now later, in 2 weeks pretty much, we're going for the world title. So
that's insane.
Yeah.
That is one hell of a journey, man.
There's like a whole...
Yeah.
Man, we can get to details of little things and what went, but
like,
it's just...
I have some questions on So when I meet people who are, they want to do more with their lives.
Correct.
Right. And that's kind of like the point of the podcast is that, for me, money is a way to buy freedom. Right. So all of us need to buy our freedom from various things that control us. But for a lot of us, mindset is a huge problem in making progress in any goal.
Yeah.
Any goal. Right. Yeah. Like your mindset has to be tight. And for someone like you who went through a really dark place, I still don't understand how your mindset was able to be switched on so tight. Like your mindset just, I feel the first time you got back in the gym, that was you were escaping.
Yeah.
And then you had this internal drive that you have to fix yourself, or was it like external factors? Like, did you have any mentors?
I would say my mentor definitely was Justin, who's the GM, Flex, who's the owner, his wife, Allie, who all three of them, I worked alongside with them. And then we also worked, I helped them creating culture, which is this Leatherman's jacket I have on.
Yeah.
Which is, it stands for, it's actually over here. Culture, loyalty, respect, and trust. So it's something that Flex stands by, something I tend to stand by as well. But for me, like, years ago, I forgot what those meant. I forgot what loyalty meant. I forgot what the trust was. I forgot what respect was. And it's like, how can I create something with someone that believes in this, and then I can't believe in myself in that, right? So, like, what does it mean to me? And it's just like, it hit me every day. I was like, okay, I'm surrounded by amazing people doing amazing things. I'm supposed to be amazing. We're all supposed to be amazing, right? So, when you want more, what are you willing to do? Like, are you going to just sit there and wait for it to happen, or like you're going to go do it? Like, it's not going to be handed to you. Like, nothing's handed in this life. Unless you are born into like the royal family and here you go. Like, you got a whole country to yourself. Like, we don't have that privilege, right? We're born, and from the day we're born, we're fighting. We're fighting when we're going into the whole egg thing, right? Like, you came out, your dad, you're fighting to be the first one in there, and then boom, now you're the baby, right? Yeah. So we're fighting to be the best version of ourselves. It's something that I say every day now. So be the best version of you. Because, everything that I have gone through, right? Like, for years, is like, I blamed everybody else. And I hated myself. And I'm like, always putting up a front. Like, like I said, I always smile. And I always had this high energy. But, like, I would get home and be like, fuck, like, my life sucks. And it's like, I'm here again. I was homeless years ago, like, twice. Why am I doing it? Why did it happen again? Like, my life fucking sucks. Like, your life doesn't suck. It's like, you just, like, forgot. Like, you forgot to live. You forgot to work hard. You forgot to do what you want to do. Like, we always get stuck, like, we hit this wall and we're like, is it going to come down? Like, hello? Yeah. And, like, we have, if we're surrounded by people that, they'll help give you a hand, but, you got to be willing to, like, give yourself the hand. Like, sometimes you have to be that person. Like, in life, I could be, you're an amazing person. Like, you help people and do all the charity stuff. I have great friends that do the same thing, but you have to be willing to do it for you. Like, it's your life. You have one. Yeah. Take care of it. Like, don't ruin it. Like, if I go out and party, right? Like, just say, I think the best thing I actually saw a quote today. It was like, you can control time. People are like, how can you control time? It's like, you can speed it up. I'll tell you exactly how. Drinking, partying, doing drugs, you'll speed up your life, and then you'll die a lot sooner. But if you're healthy, if you take care of yourself, if you do everything right, like all the right things, you'll live longer. And that's why I had a process, right? I was like, damn, like, I want to live versus I don't care if I die. And I was always living like, I don't care if I die. If I die, I die. Yeah. Versus, you know what? I want to be here. I want to do something. I want to give back to the community. And it's always like something I always like wanted to do, but never took the initiative to do it. Yeah. I would just always give a hand. And I'm always willing to help people. Like, even if I don't have the dollar to give, I'll give the dollar. I'll find it and I'll be like, here you go. So now being mentally good and physically good is something that I do definitely want to help. And it's like, how can we do that? You know, for someone that works in nightlife, it's like, okay, nightlife isn't bad. You can control it. But, you know, you got to realize, okay, like, is this something you want to do the rest of your life? Like, and I'm not saying for people that have been there for years, like, I'm saying there's anything bad, but like, where can you go from here? Like, you can't be a VIP host in your 80s, but, you know, you can move to marketing or you can move to the director side and then up, you know, you keep going up.
Yeah.
Like, keep growing. You want to grow more. You don't want to be stuck in one spot doing the same thing. And that's what I felt like. We know, like, I was in the Vegas industry for years. Like, I've just felt like it was the same thing, repeated and repeated and repeated. And then same thing at the gym. It gets repeated. Like, you're in a gym, it's the same people. But, like, how can you grow? Like, how can I help? Do what I'm doing, how can I help others? And I realized, and it's like, it's weird. Like, I don't expect anybody to say hi to me. It's like, hey, Alex, thank you for inspiring me or anything like that. But it's cool when somebody reaches out to you. It's like, hey, man, I saw your story and, you know, I also drink and I had an issue and it affected my relationship, but you inspired me to be better. And me and my wife are talking again and stuff. And it's like, you're like, damn, that's crazy. Like,
I mean, like, that's extremely powerful, right? Because when we say do charity, right? Like, you give someone $1, that's $1.
Yeah.
But if you change the way they approach life, that's hundreds and thousands of dollars. That's maybe millions. That's maybe billions, right? Because you just change their whole direction. They could do so much more with their lives.
Like it's like everybody's like, and it's like I tell everybody, it's like social media is fake. Like, I don't think it's real at all.
No.
Or we all put a front. Or we're easy. And like, it's easy to be like, you know what? Let me sit on this camera. Yeah, man, you know what? I didn't have any struggles. I just go to the gym, I work out. This is what I do. And then and just put this whole front.
Yeah.
But then what does that do? Like, it just makes the one that's watching like, oh, wow, this guy's cool. Like, But then it's like all the other people are like dealing with their own things. Like, this guy's an asshole, you know, like, and he's not even an asshole. It's just, but then you tell the story and then they're like, wow, like, I connect. Like, he drank. Like, what? I don't see that. Like, he doesn't look like he parties. Like, why he was homeless? Like, why? Like, it's like all those things that you're just like, you start connecting, and that's when people really start believing in you. That's when it's real. Like, versus, you know, the Photoshop, the makeup, the plastic here, plastic there. Like, it's like, is that you, or are you just doing it for the picture and the glam?
Yeah.
You know, like, I post on my social media, like, I don't care. Like, if this is what you see, you see. Like, you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I'm me. I know what I'm giving to y'all. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I just want people to be the best version. You know, like, go on there and be you versus pretending to be everybody else.
I love that. There are so many lessons there, Alex, from your story. So now that you're prepping for your show, right, and you've done shows before, what's it like to prep for a show? Because, you know, like, there's people who are average gym goers who are like I have no interest in competing. I just want to be fit. I like working out. But like, what's the difference between working out to like just, you know, be in a good shape and be like have good cardiovascular health and like look good in the mirror versus competing? Like, what's the huge jump?
The main thing will be like conditioning wise. Like, the condition you get for a show, like, is not sustainable. Like, we get to like a low body percentage. We're so depleted. Like, I'm thirsty right now, and hungry.
Hide that.
Yeah, hide the water. Yeah. But like, it's the extremes, right? It's kind of like again, like when you go and have a social drink or overly drink, right? So going to the gym regularly to look good, like you're getting ready for a vacation with the family, right? Or just an everyday thing is creating habits that you naturally do. Like, you brush your teeth like every single day, I would hope, right? You'd be surprised. Like, oh, I forgot? Oh, okay, maybe tomorrow. So there's little things like that. It's like, okay, so I brush my teeth every morning, put on deodorant, I walk my dogs, I eat a burger. Like, why are you eating a burger?
Yeah.
So, or I do that same thing, except I have eggs and like a cleaner diet, right? Yeah. Like, it's like, why? So you see, like, you can put apple and apple and oranges, like, or however you say it compared to.
Yeah, yeah.
But what's more beneficial? As good as this tastes.
Yeah.
like, what's this gonna do? And this, if I eat this, it'll taste good for the time being.
Yeah.
But if I eat this, like, the people that are like dragging throughout the day, like the people that eat healthy, they have energy because they had the food that will give you the energy for the day. So it's like, that's how you start adding things and changing things. You're
so I have a question over there, right? And this is not even for the podcast. It's not for me.
Yeah.
Right? Because for me, what I struggle with diet is in the morning, my willpower is like top notch.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I wake up, I live in Vegas, so I wake up late. I attend a bunch of meetings in the morning while I'm on Zoom and stuff. I go to Fit Club, and then like my willpower is tight till like 5, 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
It's at the end of the night when I've done like hours and hours of work, I've done a bunch of stuff, that's when willpower starts decaying for me.
Yeah.
And I know that's at least true for a few of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the candy or the ice cream looks really tempting.
Yeah.
Right? Because your willpower's like, man, I should just watch some YouTube, just chill. So how do you, because for you, this is now, like, this is your job, right?
Yeah.
How do you make sure that you're disciplined enough? Considering
I'll be honest, I'm not going to lie on this. I do love my Reese's sticks and soda. So I'm not going to lie. It's like me following a diet plan. It's very difficult. Like I suck. As much as I can claim I'm like, dude, I follow everything, is really good. I don't. Like I suck. I probably don't take it really serious till the last like 6-5 weeks. But that's also knowing your body, right? Like like if I know right now if I started doing cardio at 8 weeks, like I'll look super skinny by the time. Like I don't, like it just, your body changes. Everybody's body is different.
You lose muscle.
Yeah. So when it comes to being disciplined on food, and I did this actually my first prep, I was actually like 100% to the T. I followed everything 100%. It's rough the first 40 days, I would say. I don't know, after 21 days is a habit or something like that. But for me, it was rough the first 40 days, right? And after that, it became easy. And the urge for certain things was there. But it wasn't like I needed it, like I had flushed those needs out that I was just like, you know what, like this is fine. And then now you're on the habit of eating the same thing over and over, but it's a cleaner version of it. And throughout the day, like my energy was there, but also I was prepping for a show. So it's like, it's completely different. Now, everybody has different macros that they can hit throughout the day. As long as you have a balance, I mean, I don't see why you can't have ice cream or a candy bar or something. Like, I'll be honest, it's just me. I do it. But, we're not chasing the same thing, right? Like, I'm chasing to look good on stage, and you just want to look good throughout the day. So, as long as you hit the meals that are needed for you, a snack or two, like, throughout the day, it's not going to hurt. Awesome.
And what about, so now you also coach people online, right?
Yeah, so I just started that, actually. Started, I want to say, what is it, July?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of July, I started doing that again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I used to do it back when I was like 17 or so.
Yeah.
I didn't know much then, but I had a few clients then. And then now I want to like coach, not only just in the gym, like it's a lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
But again, mentally, with everything that I've dealt, I want to be able to help those, not just physically good, but mentally get good.
So who's your ideal customer? Like, who are you trying to target?
Whether women or female, women or female, men or female, that just want to make a change. They want to be better for themselves. And what I mean by that is, they live a lifestyle, and it's something that they love doing or they enjoy, but like it's getting hard because they can't give themselves the time that they need. And what I mean by that, like people are really, once you start doing something you enjoy doing, like you get so like focused into it that you're like, oh, I don't know how to do anything else. Like this is all I do. Like I have a client that actually reached out and he has multiple businesses.
Yeah.
But he can't find the time to go to the gym and he's in between meetings. So how does he eat? Like stuff like that. So being able to help him not only manage his business times, like, okay, like if you wake up at 4 a.m. every day and your first meeting is until 7, like that first hour, like you can focus on doing like a light workout, and then have a meal or something. Like it's stuff that you kind of fit into their own schedule.
Yeah.
So that way, those in between breaks of whatever they're doing, you can pretty much figure out how it can help them be better, and then adjust the mental side of things. Okay, it's like, okay, you're attacking a load here. Why don't you just break it down to this side, and then you can focus on what needs to be done, and then end up being more productive throughout the day.
Yeah. So there's a huge component of mindset in there too, right?
Yeah.
You want people to have the right mindset to approach these challenges.
Yeah, like I mean, even if you know nothing, let's say if you just want the coach side of it, like I'll help you through that too. But then, over time, like we do learn about each other. Like I learn about you, your habits that are good, your habits that are bad, and from there, and then I'll start asking you, okay, like why do you have this? Well, why are you doing this? Like you're like, well, I've always done it. It's like, do you feel good about it? Like, how can we adjust to do something better?
Yeah.
And that's when they start thinking and questioning themselves. Like, okay, like, how can I fix that? What do I want to fix that? Why do I want to fix that? And then once they realize that, okay, like, because I want to do this, like, and then that's when the coaching of the training side changes, because they're like, like, I do have a wedding or I do have a vacation I have planned with my significant other in a few weeks, and I'm so focused on work, but I want to be able to look good and be really good with her, or them or whatever it may be. So it's like you work on both sides.
Yeah. So that actually brings me to a really important question, right? So I love, and I think there's some people in the audience who need to listen to your story of how you went from the struggle, because there are people, close friends of mine, in fact, and me a few years ago, where you were in this bad space, right? You have to get out of that, which is very inspiring. But for someone who's trying to find balance, like, well, I don't want to be eating chicken, rice, and broccoli all the time. I want to go eat out. I want to drink a little bit. Like, what's your advice to people? Because you still have a decent social life, right?
Yeah,
you have a lot of friends in that life.
I definitely enjoy myself. I'm not gonna say I gave that up. When I'll say his name. My buddy Kyle.
Yeah.
He comes from Tampa all the time. Dude travels the world. Comes to Vegas. He always comes to Vegas like when I'm doing something important. Like it's never when like.
Shout out to Kyle.
Kyle, dude, come on. But it's always like I got like last time he came from my last show. He came literally a week before, and I'm like, dude,
a week before.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I got my show. He's like, well, we're doing this. I'm like, all right, it's okay. Don't tell anybody. But it's not. I think is what it is one, portion control. So like if you're going out to eat. If you already had your meals throughout the day, portion control. Don't overeat when you go out, right? If you're going out to drink, where are you going to? Are you going to the club or are you going to dinner? If you're going to dinner, have a drink or two. That's fine. Don't overdrink. Like, why do you have to have that extra drink?
Yeah.
Like now when I go out, I probably have one or two drinks. If I go to the club or something, enjoy, I probably have again. One mixed drink is probably like 2 shots.
Yeah.
But I don't overdo it because like you gotta think about the next day. That's what people forget. It's like they do everything the one day at the moment, they're like, and the next day they're like, oh man, I hate this. So what did I do that? Question yourself. And it's like now I have so many things going on. Then I'm like, okay, the next day I gotta be at the gym at 10 a.m. because I have to meet with this person. Do I want to be hungover? No, like do I want to be tired? No. Am I going to go to bed on time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's like, because if you say you don't do that and then you have this meeting, you're late to your meeting, or now you're like pissed off because you said this they said the wrong thing, and now you're like, oh man, I'm hungover. Like, it's just like, it won't go the way you want it to go, So you got to think about the next day. And that's what we forget. We forget to think about the next day and what's important.
So what I'm getting out of that is like, even while you're in a party state of mind, you're not giving control of your mind, right?
Yeah.
Like you're still forward thinking. It's like, well, this is the goal I'm trying to hit, and I want to make sure I don't get too drunk. I don't get too off track. I just have enough contrast that I'm happy in life, right?
Yeah, like, because your thing is like, for example, like I think it was like, let's say early May, I think it was. Like, obviously, I had my show at the end of May. But early May, like, it was somebody's birthday. I'm like, yeah, like, I'll go to your birthday, right? Like, now, could I have overly drank and got messed up? I was like, yeah. But then, how would I feel the next day? What would I do to my prep? Like, obviously, I'm in prep, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I will get really dry because alcohol dries you out. Or I'll wake up the next day like really like tired and hungover and just throwing up. And then now I don't want to eat or I can't work out. Like, everything that you do the night before, the day before is going to affect the next day.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can I do this without it messing up the next day?
Yeah.
Like, what's the minimal thing I can do?
Yeah. That
I can still enjoy myself, but I can still do what I need to do the next day to get it done. Because like, it's always the next day. Like, it's great right now in the moment. You can enjoy the moment, but enjoy it. Like, don't just overdo it because Bobby's overdoing it or Jimmy's overdoing it. Like, do it because you're enjoying yourself, and then be functional to do what you need to do for yourself the next day. Cool.
That makes a lot of sense. So I do want to ask one more thing. Before I do, I want to ask you what else you got going on.
So I got the show. That's all I really got thinking about. Coaching, and then I haven't done a litter recently, but I do breed dogs as well.
Wow.
I breed XL American Bullies. That's always fun, but that's a handful. Like, that's like a whole 8 weeks of like, you won't see me for 8 weeks because these pups are like every day, like 24/7.
But that's pretty cool though. Like, I've been wanting to, you know, I'm really into like I've supported charities that rescue animals, and I look at the situation at the shelters because they post online, and it's just like, I wish I could go adopt, but I just know I'm not responsible enough with all the things I have going on to take care of a human being, of a living thing.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm traveling all over, sometimes here, sometimes there.
Yeah. If I had a small dog, it would be easy, but I got big dogs. So like, I really got to be like, all right, I got to take care of you guys today. Like, if I forget, they remind me. I'm like, oh, well, sorry.
Yeah.
But no, they're great. They're like my kids. It's like,
so I know, so two things that I want to ask. So I know right now you're focused on what's coming 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And I think when this podcast comes out, it'll be like a few days.
Yeah.
Right? What's your goal for the next 5 years? Like, what's coming in the next couple of years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Definitely the world champion with the federation I'm competing with. I also do want to kind of work alongside with them on bringing awareness to like mental side of things. And, you know, like, obviously bodybuilding and everything is like always, it looks so physical. But I want to focus more on something that, and it's funny because this is something that I was going to announce after, but I can say it now. It's something more like, you know, we lost everybody in the world. We lost the power of relationship building, the friendship, the communication, being humans with each other. We lost that, right? And what I mean by that is like, people go out throughout the day and just, you know somebody's sad, but you won't ask them. You just ignore everybody. Like, it's always like a me thing versus a, hey, like, how are you? Nobody reaches out anymore. When's the last time you talked to your grandparents? Like, you know, you think about like certain things like that. And, you know, like, I want to bring awareness to that, as in like, you know, every day, like, try to build a relationship with somebody. See how somebody's doing. Reach out. Hey, let them know. Hey, like, hope you're having a good day. Like, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That way, you know, we can get back to where people cared about each other. Like, build a real relationship versus like this fake social media stuff. Like, go out and meet people and hang out versus like, hey, let me slide in your DM. Like, how you doing? You look great. And that's all you ever. You know somebody so well. I've known someone for 10 years. Oh, yeah? Like, have you guys met? No. Just Instagram DM. Like, you know how crazy that sounds? Like, I know for a fact, I know a lot of people through social media. I've known them for years. I maybe met, I don't know. I don't even know who I haven't met.
Yeah.
But I always want to meet somebody.
Yeah.
And I think I've always been like that. Like, I want to meet you and get to know you versus... Here's a screen. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Like a pen pal. Like, remember pen pals? That was a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, just get out there and meet people and like
get out of your head.
Get out of your head.
Yeah.
Get out in reality, because like the way things are going now is like we're pretty much getting programmed to be behind a screen 24/7. And, you know, how often do you see a kid playing outside? Like, I remember when we were outside, we were pouring we were outside all the time. Like we would get our bikes, we get like the floorboards, the wood, and we put the brakes on the bike, and now you're sliding all over the place. Like kids, I don't think kids do that anymore. And I want to get people to go outside and socialize and be friendly with each other and talk and communicate and then understand each other. Like actually get mentally connected. Like, hey, like, I'm like, for guys, like we suck at communicating. Like if we're hurting, we're good, man. Don't worry about it. Like, no, I'm good.
There's also the impression that if you share with someone, like if you go to therapy, it's not masculine enough. So it's not manly enough.
Yeah. And I always thought like that. Yeah. Like I wasn't scared. It was just like, why do I want to share this with somebody that doesn't even know me? Like, yeah. And it's crazy. It's like, me sharing this on here or anybody, like my friends, like I my friends know.
Yeah.
But the reply your friends give you is like, yeah, man, like it's not the reply you want. And what I mean by that, it's like, yeah, you like listening and hearing to what they had to say, but it's like, no, man, like I'm dealing with this. Like, give me a different answer,
Yeah.
And once you go to therapy, you get that answer, you get the answer that it's hard. You get the answer that's like, don't tell me I'm okay. Like, you're dealing with something, fix it, like this is how to fix it. And I did that and I was like, damn, like I need to fix this. Like I'm traumatized by what I dealt with. Yeah. I'm putting that into the relationships I'm in. It's going to keep happening. Like if I don't fix it, like I'm gonna behave this way towards my significant other. Why? Because I haven't healed from this. Like, but if you heal from it, whoever you're with is not gonna get that response. Like
you're gonna actually move forward.
Yeah, you
can escape it.
You can grow, and in life you have to grow. Like you can't be stuck in the same feeling. Like every day hating. Hey man, I hate my life. I'm stuck here because it's like no, like you're stuck there because you want to be stuck there. Like if you took the time to yourself and like actually understood what's going on inside your own head, even though it's like, what's going on in my head?
Yeah.
It's, you just don't want to deal with it. You're afraid of the answer that it's hard. The hard truth is the truth that, hey, I am the problem and this is how we can fix it. Like nobody wants to tell themselves that they're the problem. Like they want to, it's easy to point a finger versus putting it at you, like, so that's something I really want to like help out, and give like, hey, let's help you however we can and go from there.
Yeah. Awesome. One final thing. There's someone watching right now who really resonated with your story, right? I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, but I'm very positive someone
who's watching now. Hey, how you doing? Send a DM.
But let's say someone really resonated with your story.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next step they should take to get their shit together, to fix their life, so they can actually make progress? What's the immediate step they should take right now as this podcast ends? What should they do?
Aside from therapy, like that's the main thing, admit it to yourself. Like look in the mirror. I had to look in the mirror a million times. Look in the mirror and be like, yo, like, am I really okay? Mm-hmm. Like I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I'm okay. And I could see it in my eyes. I was like, I'm not okay, but I'm telling myself I'm okay. I'm okay. And then one day I sat there and like I saw my tear coming down. I was just like, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, that's when the healing started really happening, and that's when like I actually started growing and being who I am now. Like it's like, hey, like I'm good now. Like I can help however I can, but the rest of that, it's up to you. Like you have to want to grow. Like you heal. So admit to yourself that you want to heal, and this is what you want to do for yourself, not because the next person is doing it or anything. It's like, do you want to grow? Do you want to be better? Do you want that house or that car or make $1 million?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, what's stopping you?
Yeah.
You're not healing, right? So let's heal. Let's be better. Let's be a better version of you.
Awesome, Alex. Where can people find you?
My IG is Alex Padron, Padron, and then an X at the end because my name was taken. Yeah. It took my name, so I had to put an X at the end.
Cool, guys. That was Alex. His story is super inspiring. And in my opinion, he's our future WBFF champion, hopefully soon.
Hopefully
and
soon.
From my experience today, I think also a future Tony Robbins level motivational speaker right here.
That'd be crazy. That'd be amazing to do.
Yeah.
Public speaking, just do it.
Dude, I think you'll be great at it. I think you'll be great. Guys, I have just one final request. I've gotten so many DMs on how much you guys love the content, the reels. I appreciate it. Go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, leave us a review. I've really enjoyed the comments I'm getting from all my friends, from random people reaching out to me, especially the most recent Leonard podcast. Everyone really enjoyed it. I appreciate that. The final request I have, and this is not for me, this is not for the podcast, because we don't make any money off this, but I want you to go talk to your friends about these topics. Have these discussions and not just talk about posting pictures, is this cute or not cute. Have like the actual discussions that matter. Talk about money, talk about compensation, talk about rent, talk about credit scores, talk about each other's problems so we can all help each other and grow together.